video is a little bit more serious. I went to therapy today and we just talked about everything that's been going on in my life recently, and I told her how I started this YouTube channel and how I actually wanted to like speak out publicly with this stuff, because especially in our town, I feel like as a teen this isn't really talked about as much and it's not as normalized as it should be. And she was really happy. And she said she's like super proud. She like supports me with doing this. It's really a lot more common than people think, and it's just some people are better at hiding it than others. But I feel like people should be more aware that people who don't seem like they're struggling could be struggling with something. And I just wanted in this video to talk about my journey with anxiety, mainly anxiety, a little bit of depression. I want this to like maybe help someone who's also struggling, who doesn't really feel like speaking out about it because they don't feel like it's normal or something, when really it's totally like it's normal. It's super common. That doesn't mean it's not valid, but you're not alone, and like there's a lot of people who are struggling that just don't tell people, so you're not crazy. So yeah, I wanted to talk about my story a little bit and my journey, maybe to like tell people what I've gone through and how I've like grown from it and how I'm improving with it. Maybe that could give some people more hope if they don't feel like they're gonna get through it, or they think it's just like they're gonna have it the rest of their lives type of thing, when really like that's not the case, I promise. I actually wrote everything down in this little notebook that I'm gonna be talking about because it really is a lot. So first off, I have had anxiety since like 7th grade is when it got very noticeable to me, and at first I didn't really know it was anxiety. I didn't even know what anxiety really was, and then as I kept struggling with it, I like talked to more people about it. I like saw social media stuff and I'm like, that is anxiety. In middle school, I had a very toxic friend group. The boys in my friend group were super toxic. Some of the girls were. Just that whole group of surroundings made my anxiety so much worse, just the people I surrounded myself with. And I didn't notice it at the time, but looking back, it definitely did affect me, and it affected the way I treated people and how I may have treated people in middle school. I look back on and it makes me really frustrated with myself, but I also know I was still just in middle school. I was still trying to figure stuff out. The boys in my friend group were very toxic. I was a lot skinnier than I am now. My legs were very skinny. My whole body was just really skinny, and I was body shamed for that. I was called like a twig, and it was by people in my friend group. So obviously like laugh it off and stuff, but deep down it really did affect me, and it affected how I saw myself. And I would see the people that were idolized in middle school, and I did not look anything like them, and it made me very sad. And I tried to be someone I was not because my body didn't make up for anything. But I was body shamed for being skinny, and at points I was getting bullied because it was just constant comments towards me, comments towards my body. Again, I didn't really notice how big of a problem it was until afterwards, when I was just in this hole. And that hole was, I got into this really dark place. I didn't like how I looked at all. I was very skinny, but I also saw myself as fat. I saw my stomach, and my stomach just didn't fit with my body right, and I did not eat that much. I just didn't have an appetite anymore. I didn't want to eat, and when I did eat like a Pop-Tart or a bowl of cereal, I felt very guilty for it, and that was a struggle for a couple months for me. Yeah, so that definitely wasn't a very good thing, but at the time I really didn't know any other way to learn to love myself and love my body. So I tried a really unhealthy way, and it did not work. That wasn't a good solution. That's just not like a healthy way to get rid of something you're insecure about, which brings me into like my fitness life, but that's later on in this video. I played basketball, lacrosse, and volleyball in middle school up to freshman year. Basketball was another trigger for me. It gave me a really bad anxiety. I put a lot of like pressure on myself when I was playing basketball. One of my family members was actually the coach, so having that mentality that I need to make this person proud, I put a lot of pressure on me that I shouldn't have put on myself, especially for that young of an age. So that was really hard during basketball, and I remember before each basketball season, I would absolutely dread it. After practices, I would come home and I would cry, and that shouldn't be how a sport, like, that shouldn't affect someone like that. If you play a sport, you should play it because you're passionate about it, you love just playing the sport, you love your teammates. And I didn't feel that at all. I absolutely dreaded basketball. It made me really sad, it made me really anxious. It was just super hard. I didn't feel like I was a part of the team, and that was also very hard. I'm a very sensitive person, so feeling left out and stuff really, really puts like me in a spot where I get really sad. It made me feel like the team I was a part of, I didn't belong, and it's hard to play a sport and enjoy playing the sport when you don't even feel like you're a part of the team, if that makes sense. Well, basically, like my freshman year, I got to a point where I started to notice these friends aren't good for me, and I knew that they were toxic and they just didn't make me a good person, and I realized I need to surround myself with people who make me the best version of myself and aren't trying to make me something I'm not. And so I left a lot of my middle school friends, almost all of them except for maybe a few who are still my friends to this day, and I love them so much. They have always been my best friends. We've grown together and our friendship has grown, and that it makes me happy that I was able to stay friends with at least like 2 of them, and that we're still so close. So once I left all my middle school friends, or just distanced myself from them, I really didn't have that many friends. I had 2 of my other friends. I didn't have many friends, and honestly, freshman year was kind of hard because I didn't have that many friends, and in all of my classes I had none of my actual friends in there with me, so I was just surrounded with people I didn't want to be surrounded with, and it took a toll on me mentally. And I remember just by the end of the day I was emotionally drained out, and I would go home, I would be crabby with my parents, with my sister, and I just wouldn't have any more energy because I kind of just had to fake my way out through the day. I also started noticing that problem too, how I was treating my parents. My parents are so important to me, and so is my sister, and just realizing how I treated them in middle school and how I treated them even part of freshman year, and not giving them the love and attention they deserve. It really makes me feel kind of guilty, but at the same time, I know I was struggling with my own things. I know that if I'm already drained out of energy, I don't have any more left to give. And so that makes me feel less guilty, because if I'm burnt out, I know I can't give them any more of what's not there. But later freshman year, I met Preston, and he brought this light into my life. Literally, he made me so happy, and he really showed me what I deserve from a boyfriend and from just my friends in general. He showed me how I should be treated and how I deserve to be treated. Yeah, I love him so much for that. So we started dating. Later on through our relationship, I started therapy because I had really bad anxiety that the people I loved were gonna leave me, including Preston, including a lot of my friends that I didn't really have many of. I feel like I was letting them down all the time. I feel like I just constantly was messing things up, and that was really hard to deal with every day, having that mindset that like all I do is just kind of mess things up, especially with the people I most love and care about. So I went to therapy for a little bit for that, and I didn't really connect with that therapist as well as I wanted to, which was also kind of a problem for me, because when I first went into therapy, I thought, oh, when you connect with a therapist, you're gonna be best friends with them. You guys are gonna like get along super well and stuff. You're gonna connect right away. Like, you're gonna develop a relationship with this therapist. And that's completely wrong. When you have a therapist, they're there to help you and give you support and coping skills to whatever you're struggling with. They don't develop this friend relationship with you. They do, but to an extent. Like, I thought it'd be a lot more. Like, we're friends, we'll come in and talk to each other and stuff, and they'll help me through this, but it's really just, you tell them how you're feeling, they support you, they give you these skills to practice, you come in and you tell them how it's been helping you. And that's like how it should be. I just didn't know that that's how therapy was when I was younger. So I didn't really connect with my therapist as well as I wanted to. So I stopped going to therapy there, and I kind of just took the skills she gave me, and I was kind of working off those until later on. Later I started working out, and Preston actually inspired me to work out because he is super big with lifting, with just like fitness, with health and stuff, and I'm really proud of him for that. And it really is good for me too to be surrounded with someone who cares so much about that stuff. And that's one of the things I love about Preston. He's probably one of the hardest workers I know. I used lifting kind of as an outlet, and mainly because I was so tired of the way I looked. Like, I hated my legs. My legs are my biggest insecurity because they're just so skinny. That was the part I was most body shamed about, was my legs and how skinny I was and how twiggish I looked. So I wanted to go to the gym and work on my lower body. I didn't care about my upper body at all. And I wanted to do abs all the time because I always thought my stomach was big. I thought I was fat in my stomach and skinny in my lower body, and I thought that those just didn't work well together, and I just looked super, it just made me hate the way I looked. And I struggled to eat again when I started lifting because I thought counting calories would be good on my mental health. Actually, I didn't even think about my mental health. I just started counting my calories, and it would make me feel so guilty when I counted calories. I thought getting over, I think it was like 1,000 some calories was too much, and I really struggled with that, and it made me not want to eat anything, or when I ate something, it wouldn't fill me up and it wouldn't give me the stuff I need, especially to grow the muscle I wanted. And I didn't know that at the time. I was still trying to figure it out. Once I started lifting, I finally quit basketball. I quit basketball and I quit lacrosse. I loved playing lacrosse. I didn't connect well with my teammates. I had one of my best friends in there, and that was about the only person. So if she wasn't at practice, I really did not want to go to practice at all. The only reason why I wouldn't have quit was to play with her, because I really enjoyed playing with her. But that just wasn't enough for me to put myself through that. Not because it was a bad sport to play, but just because that constant stress I get in a sport, and anxiety I get from a sport, it wasn't worth putting myself through that. And I really loved lifting, and I knew lifting was my healthy outlet. And so I quit basketball, I quit lacrosse, and I lifted during the off season from volleyball. I started lifting with Preston, and it took me a long time to start lifting with Preston, and he still talks to me about that, but here is why. When you start lifting and you hate the way you already look. I remember I was lifting like the first 2 months, and I would just look in the mirror. I'd see me like not lifting as heavy as I wanted to. I thought it'd come a lot quicker than it did. I'd look at my form and I'd look at other people's form and I'm like, that does not look right. Like, I'm not doing this right. And I just look at my body and I just didn't like it at all. And I could barely watch myself work out without getting upset about it. So I knew if I lifted with my boyfriend, I was just really insecure about it, and I didn't want to do it yet until I was more experienced. Like, Preston was super good about it, and it's just kind of funny now when we talk about it, because I really didn't lift with him for like the 2 months I started working out, and he really wanted me to at times, but I was just like, no. But now we've been lifting together, and it's always super fun lifting with him. I feel like if I'm in the middle of a set or something and he walks past, I know he's just gonna like stop next to me and like tell me 2 more or 4 more or something, like really push me to do the best I can. And that makes me really happy, and I enjoy having someone like that in the gym with me. I got through my sophomore year, and at the end it was a struggle. That's when I started hitting a really rough patch with my anxiety. I was really worried. I was hurting everyone around me, my boyfriend, my friends, my family. I thought I was just like hurting everyone, and I constantly felt so much guilt, and I couldn't function like at all. I could not function, and I'm already a sensitive person, so I was 10 times worse with my sensitivity. Like, I remember at lunch, if something was said to me and I didn't like it, like I'd want it to cry. I don't know if it was like something about just me or if it was a comment towards me. I got really sad really easily. And then when I got sad, I know I would get annoyed. Once I cool down, I know I felt super guilty, because I'm like, these are my friends. I shouldn't have gotten like annoyed and stuff. And I feel dramatic when I get annoyed, but you're not dramatic when you're anxious and stuff, or when you're worrying, or when you get sad. That's not dramatic at all. Because I couldn't function, I needed any support I could. I slept downstairs in my parents' room with them for a couple months, like 2 months. I had to do that. I've slept with my sister. I looked for any way to get myself out of the hole I was in. It really made me feel hopeless, and I think that was definitely one of the worst patches I've ever been through. I thought I wouldn't get through it. I thought I was too young to go through this, and I thought it just wouldn't go away. I started seeing a different therapist. I'm still seeing her right now, and I feel like I made a different connection with this one, not the one I expected like before, where we're friends, we're gonna talk to each other, it wasn't that connection. But I feel like my therapist now understands me a lot better. I feel like she understands people at my age. I feel like when I talk to her, she automatically knows what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling and stuff, and almost finishes my sentences for me. I just feel like that we connect really well, and that's what I need and what I needed at the time. So I went to that therapist. I talked to her, and she gave me a lot of strategies and stuff and ways to cope with when I felt anxious and when I couldn't function. And to this day, I still use them, and I use them like every day. And I have a folder with all my papers and stuff she's given me, and when I need them, I look back at them. I went to my supports. I went to Preston. I went to my mom. I went to my sister sometimes. I went to a couple of my friends. I constantly needed reassurance that I wasn't hurting anyone, that I'm a good person, because it's really hard when you have anxiety and you start thinking these things over and over again, these really untrue, anxious thoughts. You start to believe them. You start to believe they're real. I started to believe that the people I love I didn't deserve them. I really thought I was hurting all of them. I felt guilty when I would talk to my parents. I don't think I talked to them as much as I should have. I thought I was super mean to my friends, and I definitely thought I did and said some things I really shouldn't have, and I felt guilty for that. It was a lot for me to handle, and it made me feel really shitty about myself, and it made me feel like I didn't deserve the people I have. I almost wanted to like cut myself away from all of them, and that was the really dark part I went into. I was worried that eventually I'd want to not be here. Like I'd get to that point, and that really scared me, and that was really hard. And I think that was the point where I went to the doctor and I took tests, and I was put on anxiety and depression antidepressant meds, and I started taking those, and I kept doing what my therapist was telling me. I kept using my strategies and skills, and this past month I have been doing really good. I've definitely improved a lot with my anxiety. I feel like I know myself more. I know I'm a good person. I know the people around me love me, and I know that I deserve them. I think it just, because I had that bad of anxiety for so long, it made me question myself, and I couldn't trust a lot of people because the only thing I could trust was the anxious thoughts in my head. And I don't know why anxiety does that, and it's really frustrating, and that's the hard part. That's when it gets super hard. I remember I thought, I don't know who I can trust anymore. And I felt like that for a long time because I was hearing things from people, but then I was also hearing things in my head saying these anxious thoughts. One thing I've improved so much on is realizing they're just anxious thoughts. And I know the truth. I know what people are telling me is the truth. And I feel like I've improved a lot with believing that and getting past those anxious thoughts without my head spiraling. That's what the meds have also helped me with. They calm down my mind a little bit. So they work together with the skills I've been practicing, and it's really been helping me lately, which is really good. I think right now, the only thing I've really been struggling with lately is my anxiety, but that's gotten a lot better this past like month and a half. Lately it's been more depression. I've felt more down than I normally have. My meds have also kind of been helping me with that too, but it definitely still gets hard sometimes, and I lack a lot of motivation. But I'm really happy with the people in my life right now. I love my family and my sister, and I love Preston, and the friends I have right now, I love them so much, and I appreciate them so much. So yeah, that was a lot. That's kind of my mental health journey. I really just wanted to post this because I've wanted to post something like this actually for a long time. And I knew when I started my YouTube account, or if I started one, I'd want to make a video like this because I really feel like this stuff needs to be more talked about. If other people aren't going to talk about it, then I'm willing to be a support for people. But yeah, I think my next video will be ways of coping with this stuff, because I've learned a lot and I feel like I've helped people and my friends, and I wanted to help more people, so I want to make a video next, just how to cope with anxiety, how to cope with depression, grief, all that stuff, because that's all stuff I've been struggling with lately, and stuff I've definitely gotten better at because of the skills I've learned, and I want to share those publicly so that other people can also use those and start to improve themselves. I also wanted to mention like some self-care stuff, some tips, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry, I promise the next video won't be as serious as this one. This stuff I like to be serious about, because it really is a problem for some people, and I really wish it was more normalized. Through teens and through adults, and everyone goes through a rough point in their life, and I think people need to acknowledge that more and be more aware. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to share my little story, but I'll see you guys in the next vlog. Yeah, okay, goodbye.